as he'll be taking over for me as I transition out into retirement, which is coming pretty quickly, folks. Next to Paul is Mr. Jackie Cecil. Jackie is the Assistant Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer for KCTCS. And he'll be working very closely with you during this entire search process. And finally, to my right is Dr. Julie Golder, who is Vice President of Search Services for the Association for Community College Trustees, ACCT. And she will be serving as our search consultant and working with you throughout this process. And you'll be hearing a little bit more from her today. The first thing I'm going to ask is for Jackie Cecil to hand out these packets for you. That I'll go over with you what's in the packets.
Thank you.
First of all, if you'll open up your packet, and on the right-hand side, you should find this document. This is the state statute, which defines the responsibilities of a local college board of directors. And we've highlighted that for you, that number 2. And it says there shall be a board of directors for each community college or community technical college under the Kentucky Community Technical College system, blah, 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 blah. And then it says you have 5 responsibilities as a board of directors, and the number 1 responsibility as board of directors is for you to recommend 1 candidate for the college chief executive officer from 3 candidates provided by the president. The president shall have the authority to make the final appointment and shall not be bound by the recommendations from the board of directors. Now, basically what that is saying is outlining how this search process works. It is a partnership between the KCTCS president and this board. It's a partnership. It's very important to understand how this works, and that the search starts with a search committee, which we'll talk a little bit about in a minute. A screening committee that works with the search consultant, works with you to bring in candidates. From that group, the screening committee will recommend to me finalists that should be considered for this position. And then I present to you those 3 candidates that you will then interview, and from that process you will then recommend back to me your finalist, the person that you want to serve as your next president, CEO. Then I accept that this person or I don't. But this is the 16th search that I will have started. Paul will get to finish it. But in all these searches, I've never turned down the recommendation from the local board. So this really is your selection. But we get there because the screening committee recommends to me, I recommend to you, and then you recommend the 1 person back to the KCTCS president. So that's how the process works. Okay, raise your hand if you've been involved with a search for Maysville president before. Oh, okay, we've had a couple here. I was chancellor when Ed Story was selected as president here at Maysville, and then Dr. Basic was my very first search process that we did. So, and like I said, this is the 16th one. So we've replaced all the presidents within KCTCS over the last 5.5 years. So we've had quite a bit of turnover, and that's a pretty normal process. College presidents, we had a lot of retirements within KCTCS, but you also have people that usually stay 3 to 5 years in a presidency and move on. So that's not very uncommon. Okay, let's put that sheet aside, and if you'll look on the left-hand side, pull out the timeline piece. This outlines what we hope to be the timeline for this search process. And I want to emphasize hope because you all know that we're living in a different world now. And the pandemic is impacting timelines across the United States. This is based off our common practices in the past for how long we think a search process is going to take. We're hopeful that this search will follow this timeline. It could be stretched out longer if for some reason the pandemic keeps us from bringing in a good pool of candidates or keeps them from being able to come forward for interviews and so forth. So just be cognizant of that fact. So today at the very top is the first meeting with you. At the end of today's meeting, tomorrow sometime, I will be putting out an email to the faculty and staff of Maysville and inviting them to self-nominate, to serve on the screening committee. I select 5 representatives from the faculty and staff to serve on the committee. Chair Baird, I like that, Chair Baird.
I don't think I've ever seen him blush.
Chair Baird selects 5 representatives from the community to serve on the screening committee. Chair Baird also leads and chairs the screening committee. So he will be in charge of the committee. He and I will get together and we will determine the individuals who will serve on the committee. We look at diversity, we look at male, female, we look at what positions people are in, relationships to the community, all those kind of things play into the screening committee. If you look at the timeline, I give the faculty and staff up until August 10th to nominate themselves for the committee. And on August 14th, Chair Baird and I will get together and we will select the committee, and that will be announced to the public on August the 17th. Then on August the 20th, this is the next date that you need to be very much aware of. August 20th is a workshop that Dr. Golder will lead, and it is your opportunity to help define the characteristics and skill sets that you want for the next president of Maysville Community and Technical College. That is done through 2 workshops. One workshop will be with the Maysville Community and Technical College leadership and that screening committee. They'll meet together in a workshop. That workshop will then be followed by one with you and the MCTC Foundation Board. Through those 2 workshops, a profile will be developed for the next president. So that's all done in that August 20th time. And you see, we then send it out to the faculty and staff on August 24th. Faculty and staff have an opportunity to rank the prioritized skill sets. So there might be a list of 20 or so skill sets and characteristics that you're looking for, and the faculty and staff will put those in a priority order. So that's where the faculty and staff input comes in the development of the profile. September 1, the position statement for the position is adopted. September 2nd through October 2nd is the national search process. And Dr. Golder will be talking to you a little bit more about how that works here in a few minutes. Then, October 5th.
May I ask a question about that?
Sure.
How much emphasis is put on local versus national? In other words, how much value does the college see in having somebody that's born and raised in the general geographic area versus somebody that comes from Washington State?
A search process tries to encompass the biggest pool possible. Deciding who makes it forward through the process to the semifinalists and finalists and so forth is really up to the screening committee and up to you as a board. So out of the 15 presidents that I've hired, half have been internal candidates, meaning they were within KCTCS. Half of them have come from out of state. So it's pretty balanced, and it really depends on what the local college is looking for. And it's, as you will hear, it's all about fit. Who's going to be the best person to fit for this college at this time in your history? And so whether it's a local person or whether it's someone from, God forbid, California, that's going to be whether or not that's the right fit.
So there is a bias, I can tell. Okay.
That's a good question. Thank you for asking that. After our assistant vice president of human resources office does the check with credentials of the candidates, we'll weed out anyone who's not qualified. In other words, does not meet the minimum qualifications according to the job profile that you've established. So that's very important, because sometimes you'll get individuals who will apply for a presidency who have really no minimum qualifications for the job. Those people are taken out by the HR office. I don't see them, no one else sees them. That's their job to make sure people meet the minimum qualifications. Then it goes forward to the screening committee, and then the screening committee starts their process of narrowing it down. They'll review it. There's a process they go through to vet the different candidates, and then they will bring those folks in for the initial interview process.
Can you do it for political candidates too?
You want to put that mask back on? One of the things Bobby, come on. Oh boy. One of the things that we also do is have two of our sitting college presidents also review the candidates and give their feedback, because one of the most important parts of serving as the college president is to also be a member of the system president's leadership team. The person is expected to lead within the broader picture of the system. And so we always have a couple college presidents help in that process to review them, make sure they'll be a good team player too. And so they do some of that through the process.
Dr. Bob?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a question. How are those two sitting presidents selected? Because, you got your rural versus your urban, schools. So how are they selected? I'm just curious.
It varies. I usually try to look at a president who is serving in a college that is similar in makeup to the college, and then one president who is not, who maybe has longer tenure among the other presidents, someone, who would bring a different point of view. And urban, rural doesn't necessarily play into it, because I'm going to always select one person who is similar in size and makeup of this college. Y'all have about 3,400 students. You're about in the mid level of our colleges. Henderson's our smallest. And so Louisville, Jefferson is our largest with 13,000 students. So, you know, it just varies, but you're about right.
Okay, thanks.
October 26th, College Board Chair and I meet. We then select the candidates from the committee to move forward to the board. And that's when I'm sorry, to move forward to the city finalist round. November 20th, we review the candidates' videos. We do a video presentation of the semifinalists. And then from those semifinalists is when the finalists are selected to come to the campus. And that's will happen in November 11th. November 23rd and 24th is when the on-site interviews are conducted. You'll have a board meeting. You'll make your selection and make that recommendation. And we're keeping our fingers crossed that the new president can start in January. Any questions about the timeline?
Just one more about the
Yeah.
process. Will it be similar to what the college faculty and staff went through regarding, like, we saw the 3 candidates that came forward, then we were given a ballot to also have a voice as faculty and staff? Will that also take place? A ballot was given to us, you know, our first, second, third choice. Will that take place again?
When the 3 finalists come to the campus,
Yeah.
there is a survey form
Right.
that is put out to the faculty and staff for them to give their feedback on how they rated. That information goes back to the board. And so the board, you will have a tally that says 60% of the faculty and staff ranked candidate number 1 as their first choice. 30% ranked candidate number 2 as their first choice. 10%, why did you invite any of these candidates to be the president?
Gotcha.
That's kind of the way it works. So yes, you'll get that feedback.
Same process. Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
It seems odd to me that you don't have minimum standards for every president of the community college.
There are some minimum things that are always required.
Minimum standards.
Jackie, you want to speak to
You'll
this?
share those with us.
Sure. Yeah, they're like the educational requirements. There are specific that we look for in that. We're looking for leadership skills, and we're looking for someone typically that has had senior leadership experience, meaning reporting to a president. So those are the very minimum things that we begin to look at when we're looking at the profile. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, there's a handful of minimum things, but the other characteristics are determined through this process. Because we want the candidates to reflect what the skill sets that you're looking for here. But there are minimum qualifications and skill sets that we would expect of any president at any ACTCS college. And to be honest with you, they're pretty much the same across the nation. We have some things that are fairly simple. Other questions?
Is there any personality screening testing done of the candidates? We do that in our business, and it tells us a lot about the fit for a particular position. Anything like that done?
Yeah.
We do that in our business, and it tells us a lot about.
If I may, look to the board, most of you have not been through that, and actually this is, as Dr. Box said before, this is probably the most important thing that the board has to do. And it gives us a chance, and actually, it's wonderful that we don't have too many criteria, that we're not locked into a specific direction. So, because this is a very diversified plan, and with different people from different areas, different knowledge, we're trying to get it all together to get an idea of what is going to, who is going to lead, he or she, this college in this specific time forward. So it gives us really a great responsibility on what happened into the future. But everyone is here, I'm very grateful, because this will be the most important things that we end up doing. All the other things that we rubber stamp, budgets and presidential review and stuff like this. This is it. This is our time to actually make a real impact into this college community.
Well said. One of the things I will tell you, in the past 5 years in particular, we've had no problem with getting really strong candidates into our pools because of the reputation of the Kentucky Community and Technical College system. As most of you know, KCTCS as a state system is ranked in the top 10 across the nation in every poll that is out there. This is a place that people want to come to be a college president. So you should get a good pool. Now again, what could impact that pool this time is where we are in the pandemic. That's just a reality, and Dr. Golder will speak a little bit more about that process here. But we should see strong candidate pool throughout. Any other questions about timeline or the internal process that we should see? Okay, if not, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Julie Golden and let her talk about her role.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. Wanted to share with you a couple of things. I want to give you some information about ACCT, who we are and what we do. I'd like to talk about our recruitment strategy and what we do to actively recruit candidates, and want to talk just a little bit about the reference process so you do have some additional information that will be sought out on candidates. First, ACCT, again, we're the Association of Community College Trustees, the national nonprofit service organization for community and technical governing boards across the country. And because the most important decision that any governing board will ever make is the selection of the next CEO, we have a division dedicated exclusively to providing support and assistance with the search process. We've been working with community colleges throughout the country since 1973. The search division assists about 25 to 35 member institutions each year. And I've been working exclusively on CEO searches for about 15 years. So we have a lot of experience in terms of best practice, in terms of recruitment, in terms of strategy, and really honored to be working with all of you throughout this incredibly important process. In terms of recruitment, ads do not do the trick. That is part of the strategy, but we start working right away in terms of who do we actively need to draw in, who do we need to add to our recruitment list that could be successful here. It is all about fit. Any finalist in just about any search could do the job, but that doesn't mean that they are going to be well suited to this community, to a state system. And candidates, part of the strategy involves not just the region, but the fact that this is a state system. And you will attract great candidates. This is a stable system. It is well regarded. It is innovative. And it's a great place to live. Quality of life is huge. It's affordable. So there are so many different factors that will entice candidates. But some of the best people out there are not actively looking. So we don't always even just give one call to have a private conversation. Sometimes it takes quite a bit of nudging to encourage the best people to come in. So we're going to work actively to privately reach out to people throughout the state, throughout the region, and throughout the nation to recruit a diverse, competitive group from which the selection committee can start doing their initial groundwork. Recruiting a competitive and diverse pool is incredibly important. Equity, diversity, and inclusion is a core value of ACCT, and it is something that we weave in throughout each and every search. And we always encourage committees to keep an open mind. The values and similarities in other parts of the country could be surprising. So again, starting with an open mind in terms of what you're looking for, in terms of having a diverse group of people that you take a look at. So you have people from different backgrounds with different lenses that you get to experience and to choose from. And then, of course, I wanted to talk about the reference process. Perhaps one of the most important parts of the search process is referencing. When candidates become finalists, so when their names are going public, they know in our search they sign a release form allowing us to call anyone at current and prior institutions in a wide range of positions. So we do not just speak to supervisors, we speak to community members and faculty and staff, and of course supervisors and colleagues to get a broad perspective. We have a team of reference consultants. Some of them have been working with us for over a decade, and we'll call 10 or 15 different people on each finalist, and the majority of those people are not on their list to get the most candid portrait possible. And we all have strengths and weaknesses, obviously, but it's to share them with you so that you can make the most informed decision possible. Questions?
You research the social media sites?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Julie, I have a question. Going back to the question about local and national candidates, when the job profile is posted and advertised, your contact information will be on there, correct? Isn't that how?
Everywhere, yes.
And so local candidates are encouraged to contact the search consultant too, just like anyone at the national level. Because one of the things the search consultant does is kind of give inside information about the search too. You give advice back to potential candidates too about the college, about the process and so forth.
And we serve as a neutral
Right.
third party to provide support and assistance.
Other questions?
Thank you.
That concludes our update for you for tonight.
All right. Well, thank you again. So our next meeting is going to be August 20th. And we should have it in Maysville. Unfortunately, we can't have it in Cynthiana because it's too small. So we're going to have it, if it's okay with everyone, in Maysville. The question was on time. Is there a specific time that it's more suitable for you guys?
Haven't determined the time yet.
Okay, we will in but everyone should write down that August 20th is our target date for the next meeting. Okay,
Evening would be a lot more convenient for me.
say what?
Evening would be a lot more convenient for me. I have
I said
meetings to.
It's always,
Only on that day. Normally, lunch is fine, but
it's
on that
always,
day,
evening is always better for me and David here
evening
also.
would be better.
The next thing is to determine our regular meeting, which is usually in September, and we recommend it would be September 24th. Right? And we probably do it in round here. Okay?
Did you say here on? for
Yeah,
September?
here in round, and September 24th.
Also, this gentleman here, did you want to add some other things HR wise?
I'm sorry.
I apologize. Did you want to add some other knowledge for us HR wise that we could be considering? He mentioned you might speak to. Did you have anything you want to add tonight that help us as board members?
We're going to have the workshop probably on the 20th, so probably we'll go through all that information in more detail, right?
Yes, at the workshop, I will share some things.
Okay. Well, with that being said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor, get up and leave. I want to thank again the staff for the meal and for the hospitality of around County as always. We expect steaks next time.
And Amanda, and worker, thank you.
That may be good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Get a nice shot to see what makes it.
Yeah, it's always kind of challenging.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Bach. And we expect to see you at the next meeting so we can have a party.
You can just leave whatever you got. If you don't want to take with you on the tables, we'll take care of it.
Thank you.